Welcome back, YouTube, to Peterson Auto. Today we're changing the bell housing on the Eaton Fuller 7-speed. So right now you can look and you see I have all the clutch linkage out. There's a couple bolts here and there. We'll show you how that goes back together. Pretty simple stuff, but you got a bunch of bolts in here. I mean a bunch. It's a nut on a stud, short bolt, nut on a stud, long bolt, nut on a stud, mirrors the other side, nut on a stud, short bolt, long bolt, nut on a stud, nut on a stud. So after you get those off, you can take a hammer, knock the bell housing back. I'm gonna probably hit it right here in this mount, right here. That'll release the gasket in there and go from there. So I have it tilted back. Hopefully the fluid stays in it. You know, I'm not trying to lose all the fluid out of it because there's a lot in here. So we're gonna see if it stays in there. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We'll go get more fluid. But you know, this is what I can work with at this time. So we're doing the best we can with what we got. Let's get this knocked off of here. Get the new one, which is right behind me, put on, and we'll go from there. Okay, YouTube, this is what it looks like with the bell housing removed. I took a scraper and cleaned up a little bit of this area just to get some of the dirt and grease off. Whatever's hidden by the new bell's hidden. Whatever ain't, well, worry about cleaning it up a little better later. Surface here is for the clutch brake. Probably clean that up a little bit here before I go too deep into this. But right now we just want to get the bell on so we get the trans mocked in place and get the clutch mocked up and make sure everything's going to fit and work. You can see there ain't much that's being sealed by that gasket. I don't have a new one, and that one looks in decent enough shape. So yeah, maybe we'll see how well that works to you know, just reuse it, clean it up and reuse it. You know, I don't recommend it, but I couldn't find a gasket in stock anywhere, so we're just gonna go with this route. And if it works, it works. If it don't, then I'll, you know, wait to order a gasket. So on to putting the new bell on, you just take it and slide it back into place and start tightening bolts down. Everything will line up pretty well. So that's the next step. Wow, YouTube, that bell housing makes that tranny look huge. I mean, absolutely huge. There's a head-on shot for you. So you can see there's a little bit of hangout there, a little bit of hangout there on each side. But that being said, a little smaller bell housing. I made plans to clear the bigger bell housing, so we should be good. Now we're going to get in here. I'm going to take a look at what we got. Got here, 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 here. Down there, here, 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 here. So all those have been tightened. I chose 120 foot-pounds. There is no specs I could find easily. I kind of matched what I felt was there when I took them off. So that being said, the bolts 2, 3, and 4 have blue Loctite on them. I'm going to put that back. I started in a crisscross pattern. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I tightened the bolts separately because the bolts are for the caps. So I tightened those separately. So now we have everything tightened up. We're going to go ahead and get the clutch brake in place. I have the clutch activation linkage here somewhere. We'll get that in place. Get that a little cleaned up first because I think it's still pretty dirty. And then we'll you know, show you how that setup is going to look when everything's all said and done. Okay, YouTube, I'm going to try not to block your view too much here. But yeah, I may wind up doing it some. So what we got going on here is we're now in the process of installing the rest of the parts. Right here we have a wonderful clutch brake. This is Eaton Fuller part number 127760, 2-inch torque limiting clutch brake. So we're going to open her up here. There is no side specific on it, but I think this way is going to go best. So you line up the 2 little tabs on the splines that go the whole way back and push it in. Clutch brake installed, YouTube. Look at that. Okay. Well, now we need the fancy clutch activation piece here. You also have 2 shafts to deal with. So this one has the splines on the outside here to go to the lever that actuates the clutch. That one is going to slide in from this side. And the other one just has the little slot in it for the bolt. You can see right there. There we go. See a little slot? So the slot goes in. It's going to go from that side. This one's got the little keyway with the slot here. I'm putting this on this side because I'm going to have it driver side actuated. We'll see if that's a good idea or not. I do have a PTO cover on the other side I could use to go ahead and activate everything. So this is a pull style clutch. So you can see there's, let's come over here. See there's little tabs here, these feet. When you install this, check for wear here. If there's a lot of wear, you know, replace this piece. This one doesn't have much wear or any at all. Still a little dirty, but you know, it's going inside the clutch. It's going to get clutch dust all over it anyway. So I'm not concerned about painting it or making it super pretty. But you're going to put those tabs facing backwards, so it's going to go like that. Part number you can see at the top. The curve goes towards the inside. Simply set it in place. Wiggle it in place on your shafts. See if I can do this without too much work. Okay. I'm going to need a rubber mallet, YouTube. Still a little grease and gunk inside, so I'm going to grab the rubber mallet. That input shaft won't be hurt back there. Just gently tap. Yeah, there you go. So the bolt hole's lined up. And on top of that, this shaft is not protruding. So we'll go ahead and try to do that to the other side. Let's see. Hey, we can. That means I'm going to need to hold the other side here and tap and see how this works. Okay, YouTube, you can see I have that protruding just a tad. That's a no-no. That's bad. So you take something, a drift punch would work. I'm just going to use what's available. Just to lightly jiggle it back in place. And then you have 2 bolts that go through here. I'm going to be replacing them. They look about like this one though. And you put it in here. And in there, they're going to tighten down. And that's going to lock everything in place. The bolts go into the splined part on the shaft. You have nothing protruding here. It'll work with your throw-out bearing. When you go to install it, rest it just like that. And then your clutch is going to go in. And the throw-out bearing's designed so it'll push down on here. And now put it in that orientation. So I got a couple more grease fittings to transfer over. Remember, heavy-duty parts don't come with crap. So I got a couple more grease fittings to transfer over. Gonna find those bolts. Gotta locate myself a bottom cover, but that's not any big rush whatsoever at this point in time. So, you know, I can get to that whenever. And then after that, we're gonna replace the shift boot and do the top gaskets for the shifter eventually. I'm gonna save those for when I take the output yoke off, which is torqued to like 500 foot-pounds. 3-inch socket, 500 foot-pounds. Yeah, that'll be fun. If I get that on video, you'll watch me grunt and grunt. Yeah, input shaft's a little rusty. Before I actually installing and hit with some emery cloth, get that surface rust off of it, and it'll be fine. I can't find this specific input shaft, but I think I have found a clutch installation tool, which will aid me in aligning everything when I do go to put it together. So that being said, I won't have to pull that to actually put the clutch in. If I do, all I have to do is remove this and then remove these bolts around the retainer for the bearing, and then that whole assembly will come out. I can use that assembly quick to put the clutch, get the clutch aligned, and then put it back in the trans and go that route. So a little, I'm not really going to call it a pro tip, but a pro tip for you there, you know.
last thing I'll have to do is I'll have to take this, grind this down, flatten this out, and put some kind of bolt hole in here that I can activate the clutch off of. But these splines will go over here on this side onto the splines on the shaft, and the bolt will match up with the groove, and that will activate your clutch. So find 2 bolts, put them in, good to go, and then get the clutch activation set up. So we're gonna get the rest of that done, and if you have any other questions or concerns, comments, please leave them, let me know. Be glad to help answer some of your questions. Make sure you subscribe so you can keep up with what we're doing here at Peterson Auto, and feel free to like this video and all my other videos, and we can get you get you some more about the heavy duty parts going into the dually bill with the DT360 engine and Eaton Fuller 7-speed transmission. Thank you for watching.